So this is the Bachmann 009 mainline Hunsit saddle tank from the Penryn Quarry. I'm just having a look on conventional 12 volt DC control just to check her out, and then we'll look at fitting a decoder. My ancient Hammond & Morgan controller, she's quite responsive. Nice and smooth. And you can see the firebox glow comes up automatically on analog. Oops. Yes. Controlling camera and controller at the same time is an acquired skill. There we are, so lovely little logo. Take the body off, there's a few things to note that's probably worth following. The brass work comes off, so the two pipes from the cylinders up to the front of the saddle tank unhook at the top and then slide up from the cylinders. You can see the brighter portion there is the bit that was inside the cylinders, and then the two injectors, I guess, but the two pieces of brass work off the side also unclip, and they've got three attachment points. Two from the side and one that goes into the front of the cab, so if you take those all off first it will be easier. Just be careful when handling the loco not to squeeze in the side rods. And then there are 5 screws which aren't immediately intuitive, and they're shown on the instructions, but I still went to the wrong ones. So you've got screws in the side of the cab, they're the most obvious ones, and then 2 are quite deeply sunk in next to the Bachmann logo here, and the final one is here right at the front of the chassis. So there's one for the coupling, there's one I think that holds the cylinder block on, and it's the third one you undo which releases the body, so just watch out for that. The screws are different sizes, so the 2 short ones there are from the side cabs. The third one here is probably the longest of the 3, is from the front of the body, and these 2 from underneath the cab holding the chassis in. So just line them up carefully to put them back in. So with those released, the body should come off. It's this lever as well, the reversing lever, also unhooks. So there's a few more things that aren't really mentioned in the instructions, and I'll lift this off without the camera in the way. So we now have the body off. Another attachment point, there are 2 clips on the back plate of the cab. They do just unhook, so just be careful with them, but it does come off relatively easily. So yeah, that's the body off, and you can see the circuit boards. The top board is the blanking plug, which we'll remove, and it reveals the Next 18 fitment. So I've got high quality Lens Next 18 decoder, item number 10318, which is this little decoder, and that just clicks in. So it's such an easy fitment. I think these little fittings come from the mobile phone industry. So the little 18 pin plugs that clip together. There. So that's the chassis back together. We'll get the body on loosely. It does fit quite snugly. It's not too bad to get off if you take the right screws out. And if you're struggling, just check you have removed the correct screws, as I found out. So just back together. We'll put the parts on in a minute once I've checked out the decoder and put the screws back in. Whenever I fit a decoder, I like to check things out on a programming track, even if it's a plug-in decoder. So if you just read the address on the programming track, you can get an idea if everything's okay. It looks okay. You can go a bit further and read CV30, and you want to see a value of 0 in CV30, which which would be the error log on the chip. That's just precautionary, and that just comes from years of fitting chips. You shouldn't have any issues with something that is a direct plug-in. So I've done that, and now we've put it on the main track, and the factory settings. Loco runs quite sweetly. So the Firebox Glow is controlled with function 1, and you can see it's just come on steady. So that the outputs can all be programmed. I've got the manual open there. So what I'm going to do, you can either do this on the programming track or you can do it programming on main. I'm going to go in from the manual, CV62, enter, and send a value of 2 to the chip. Okay, we'll come out of that, and that will put a flickering effect on output 1. The camera probably won't pick up, it actually picks up nicer on the reflection on the back plate there. You can see it now flickering. So that's set up the Firebox Glow effect. You can change all the inertia settings. This is still on factory setting, and I think it runs quite nicely. Speed step 1. You can see it's just cogging a little bit. The motor doesn't like running quite that slowly. We bring it up, it smooths out. So that's it. It's just a case of putting the parts back on and the screws back in. So there's just a quick postscript about getting these back together. Let me zoom in. The pipes from the top of the cylinder go in, and then they go into a little fitment on the front of the saddle tank, so they clip in crossways. So just make sure you get them orientated the right way round, and the 2 brass fittings on the side there. Push them into a hole in the cab first, and then align them with the 2 attachment points. So bring in, if I zoom out again, the camera out again, bring in a pointer. So there's an attachment point here and another one here. And we're in here. So just be aware of that when you take them apart, that these parts will have to come off. So it's not the most straightforward fitting, but it's not too bad. They do just clip on and off.